Good evening, televiewers. Many thanks for joining us on Thursday's edition of Prime News over My Media Prime TV. I am Eileen for presentation. We begin the newscast today right in the heart of Douala, where a wildfire has consumed a sports complex in Akwa North, a neighborhood in the Douala 5 municipality. The sad incident happened yesterday afternoon, the 7th day of December 2022. Naivona with details.
This is the sport complex consumed by flames in Akwa North in the Douala 5 municipality in the littoral region. The sports complex was reduced to ashes after it went up on flames on Wednesday, December 7, 2022. According to eyewitness accounts, the flames originated from within the sports complex.
The
fire started while we were up there. We notified the lady and she said we should wait. We were wondering why we should wait when others were trying to reduce the flames because there was even shortage of water.
He also notes that the entire building would have been consumed by flames if not for the intervention of youths of the locality.
If not for the help of youths of the quarter, the whole of this building would have been consumed by flames.
Elements of the firefighting brigade also stormed the scene once alerted and were able to stop the flames from spreading further.
Firefighters came. That was good, but it's good to prepare like 2 vehicles filled with water for intervention. Look at our stadium, all burned. It's terrible.
The real cause of the fire is still unknown, but the incident has, however, raised eyebrows of people who keep asking what might have spurred the fire. It should be noted it is not the first time such an incident is happening in the region, as similar cases have been recorded in recent times. That notwithstanding, investigations have been opened to ascertain the real cause of the fire.
We now take you to the south region of Cameroon, where the phenomenon of drowning is gaining momentum in the town of Kribi, as the seaside has reportedly recorded a good number of deaths. Strategies have also been put in place to protect the safety of people who come to the beach for leisure. Get details in this story with Catherine Ekongwe.
Human beings feeling the need to swim and are born with the desire to have fun are some of the reasons that attract people to the beach. However, the fact that people are not sufficiently informed of the risks and do not generally measure the dangers they face when satisfying these want to swim, leading to many deaths at the seaside. It is for this reason that firefighters in Kribi have taken strategies to make sure that the culture of security becomes part of the morals of the population of Kribi. Through them, foreigners will understand that it is safety before pleasure. Saving people from the water is part of our duty, but for now, we don't have agents placed in the various areas because we are an immobile enterprise due to the fact that our materials are stationed in one place and we only go when we are called that there is an incident somewhere. In order to reduce the level of drowning at the Kribi seaport, while waiting for authorities concerned to take concrete action to improve the safety of the beach, it begins with personal and individual awareness. When we go to save someone, we use a technique because when you want to save someone, they also have the fear that by trying to save them, you might be unable to get out. So if you can't swim, don't go closer to someone who is drowning. It is better you go and call for a rescuer. At times, people drown when we are not around, but when we come and we are told there is a corpse in the water, We try to get in and look for the corpse, and if we see it, we give the corpse to the family to take to the mortuary. At the Divisional Delegation of Art and Culture, the profession of lifeguard is very much recognized. For the moment, it would have been the responsibility of the territorial administration. But as we have the guidelines, because there are trained professionals who come and analyze our work and professionalize it, also make efforts to protect and sensitize tourists. In view of the above, strong mobilization action is needed for this rescue to be recognized and legalized in Caribbean, an action that will significantly reduce drowning by the seaside.
Katrina Kongwe reporting there. Now, in prelude to the celebration of the 146 years after the departure of the Deido monarch, King Ewum Ebele Kaye, a group known as Kasere Éducatif de Vendredi, led by Son of the Soil Bona Eboko Josue, has organized a symposium to analyze historical facts of the Canton Deido people. The symposium that brought together media men and women, writers and lovers of history, took place at the Palace Hall of Canton Deido, as we hear in this report with Lasha Kinsley.
Speakers dwell on the root of the Deido people from creation, explaining facts on settlement and village expansion. Mr. Moise Ekwala, researcher and writer of the Deido cultural history, took time to explain the culture, migration and settlement history of the Canton Deido people in the Sawa land. Narrating with precision while taking questions from participants, Mr. Moise Ekwala gave in-depth historic facts of the formation of the Deido chieftain and the people. To the Secretary General of the Deido Palace, the remembrance of a king who sacrificed his life for the well-being of his people is a sign of respect and importance to our history.
146 years ago, one of our paramount chiefs died because he didn't want to give to the court, to send to court one of his child who was used to kill somebody else, and the person that he killed was another child of Chief Eyumebele. That's why he didn't want to lose the two eyes at the same moment on the same day for the same event, bad event. That's why he decided to fight against him. But he was sentenced to death by the Ngondo. That was law at that moment.
Mr. Bona Eboko, the publisher of Actu Info newspaper and main organizer of the event, underscores the importance of the event.
The first motivation is that we have to know our history. You know, usually we learn it on school, but our crew thinks that we have elders like him who can tell us about what our villages, our nations is all about, and it's an opportunity to commemorate our hero like Lumebele Kaye, Matempo Samba, Rudolph Douala Mangabel, and so on and so forth. So we came here about this, and I think that the Causerie de Vendredi will go behind because we already scheduled on April to be in Bonaluka in Douala Tech, and on July we will be in Yaoundé to talk about our history.
The Deido people fought wars and won the colonizers, established and expanded the village, which has now grown into a city. To organizers, gatherings like this one is very important for the reawakening of the history of this group of people to the profit of the younger generations.
Over to the Northwest region, where the Bafut Council has adopted its budget for 2023 worth over 1.8 billion francs CFA to run projects in the Bafut Council area. Disclosing the budget during the session, Bafut Council Mayor Nsungkikang Lawrence stressed on the construction of priority projects like potable water, health facilities, classrooms, among others, to step up the livelihood of the people of the Bafut Council. Get details in this report with Akeba.
In a council session December 7, 2022, councillors of the Bafut Council in Mezam Division of the Northwest adopt the 2023 budget for the Bafut Council, which balance in income and revenue at 1.18 billion francs FCFA, with 619.4 million FCFA allocated for recurrent expenditure representing 52.5% of the budget, while the investment budget stands at 560 million francs FCFA, an increase of 113.3 million francs FCFA from the budget of 2022.
This particular project, we have many other communities that we need to implement projects. So the priority projects for Bafuna depend on what the various villages need. There are some that their priority project is water, some is light, some schools, some hospitals. So we will now go into the various domains and see which ones are first as per those villages, and then we'll see that we give those projects to them.
Addressing councillors, Bafut Council Mayor Nsungkikang Lawrence stressed on the construction of potable water, health facilities, classrooms, and a modern stand pit to better the livelihood of the people of Bafut subdivision.
Well, as I've said, I've already started putting the roads leading to the sand pits in order, and we are calling on the tipper drivers, those who are buying the sand, that they should respect the normal laws of the council to pay the little token that will be collected at the council gate so that the council can use it to develop Bafut better. The mayor seized the platform to celebrate their new queen mother, who was crowned recently by the Bafut Traditional Authority. Expressing satisfaction after a brainstorming session, the supervisory authority satisfied with the council for always emerging amongst the first two councils to execute their project in time, stating, with the peace gradually returning to Bafut, it's good the people think about the development of the subdivision.
Onto something else, a two-day training workshop to enable students properly write scientific papers or scientific research papers, articles and projects has ended in Ngaoundéré, chief town of Adamawa region of Cameroon. Organized by the Francophone University Agency of Ngaoundéré, the program has given priority to students of the sub-region, as we hear in this report compiled by Darling Gande.
On several occasions, the educational system of Cameroon has been termed lax and incompetent, but in response to this training workshop comes in to enable students develop more skills in writing scientific articles and research papers for a global competitive reach. Happening at the Francophone University Agency of Ngaoundéré, this program has registered students and researchers from the sub-region, as Jite Kochwo Françoise, a facilitator during the session, adds more to this.
This workshop is to give to students some knowledge to write their scientific paper. And because most of works have been done in universities and most of them has not been published, and with this workshop it will be possible for more students to publish it.
We're curious to know more. The facilitator is tasked to explain what has been covered so far.
We have started yesterday with introduction, how to design the title, how to write a good introduction, how to design also the main objective and specific objective. Till the morning we have started to work on methodology, how to design the methodology which is the more appropriate for specific objective, and we are working on it, and we are also showing to students how to search article that is that can fit best in their paper.
At a time when education has become highly competitive like never before, the facilitator now explains how beneficial this workshop will go a long way in transforming mindsets.
It is a good workshop that will provide some knowledge to students so that by the end of the month and by the end of the year, more articles will be published. Because they will be having a lot of skill to write and produce scientific articles.
But on the part of the students, what has been acquired so far?
After 2 days of workshop with the theme of how to write scientific document, we go out there with the knowledge of the different parts of scientist document, such as article. We go out with a new tools for reference bibliography.
A new era births a new generation. It is the digital age, and the AUF is here to accompany many scholars through the changing trends.
On our feature page, we take you back to Kribi in the south region of Cameroon to discover the various touristic and leisure attractions of the seaside town. Take a view. The city of Kribi in Cameroon is an excellent town for tourism, leisure and discovery. Reason why lots of tourists visit the seaside region endowed with lots of touristic sites. These include the beaches of Ngoye, the lighthouse and the Lobe waterfalls, which have been crowded since the start of this end-of-year holiday season. Note that some people visit Kribi simply for a touristic trip to discover the riches offered by this beautiful city with so many attractive geographic features, while for others, it is simply the perfect romantic spot to spend a few days in the company of a loved one. And for few persons, they visit Kribi just for business purposes. The reasons indeed vary. But one thing for sure is the fact that the city of Kribi remains the ideal place for leisure and discoveries.
All right, so I come here for research purposes several times. I'm a specialist of the languages of Africa, and especially the language of Cameroon and Nigeria. And I've worked on a Ton language, but also on the Papuku language, which is a variety of Batanga, and Batanga is spoken in and around Kribi. So the first time I came, I was invited by a German colleague who was working here on the Gieli language. That's when I discovered that Kribi is a nice place, and since that time I told myself,
yes, there is water everywhere, the sun. I always come here once in a while to have fun. But what is really attracting me to come here is the sun. You enjoy the sun, it's very natural, everything is very good.
I've not been coming here so often. I came today because it's my kid's sister's birthday, so we came to celebrate with her. Because I've always heard Kribi is a very nice place, and as you can see, it's water, the white sand and all. So it's a very nice place, and I'm happy to be here.
According to officials at the Divisional Delegation of Tourism for the East, this period of end-of-year festivities remains the ideal period for the arrival of tourists. The raison d'être is that in many foreign countries, this season coincides with winter, unlike the dry season, which is favorable for tourism. But it is a challenging task for the supervisory authority to have statistics on the number of tourists who visit Kribi. However, the Divisional Delegation of Tourism has thus launched a call for a better management of the tourism sector in Kribi. We do not yet have a system that stores data, but we are in the process of doing that. We have informed the population already, and every month we need to collect the statistics. Nonetheless, A trip to Kribi this December with loved ones or family will be your perfect holiday getaway. Now in news out of Cameroon, a Mozambican court has sentenced the son of former Mozambique president to 12 years in jail for financial fraud. Meanwhile, Nigerian superstar Desmond has been arrested for embezzling funds aimed at helping unemployed Nigerian youth start businesses. These and more African stories in this report with Nsungkikang.
Armando Ndamba Gebuza, son of former president of Mozambique, Armando Gebuza, has been sentenced to 12 years in prison following a massive corruption scandal known as the Hidden Debt. He was sentenced in Mozambique alongside the former head of intelligence and a former head of economic intelligence. According to Mozambican authorities, the case, which involved $2 billion in secret loans from foreign banks to Mozambican state-owned companies, had plunged the country into a serious financial crisis. It relates to debt contracted by the Mozambican government in 2013 and 14 without parliamentary approval that prompted the IMF to intervene, triggering a sovereign debt collapse in 2016. Over in West Africa, the Ghana Armed Forces has arrested a man posing as a senior military officer at the Burma military camp, as can be read on the press release by the Ghana Armed Forces on Wednesday, December 7, 2022. The suspect is identified as Rufai Abubakar and was arrested after trying to access a military installation using forged credentials. The suspect took the military officers to two residences where they discovered documents, fake certificates, and reports bearing names of defrauded persons, military uniforms, and a toy pistol. He has been handed over to the Criminal Investigations Directorate of the Ghana Police Service for further investigations and prosecution. In a similar story, Nigerian Afrobeat star Desmond has been arrested over allegations of fraud after millions of dollars meant to help unemployed youth start businesses was reported missing. The artist, who claimed to be the brand ambassador for the N scheme, turned himself in on Tuesday, December 6, 2022. The N Power scheme was launched by the Nigerian government in 2016 and has helped more than 2 million Nigerians between the ages of 18 and 35 start businesses. Following the recent scandal, 10 other people, including the music star, are being investigated by the Nigerian Anti-Corruption Agency.
You're welcome back. Now in news out of the African continent, Bokengo Worthy visited China, the US and Indonesia and compiled the report that comes up next.
We kickstart our tour around the world this day in China as the country relaxes its strict zero-COVID policy of constantly shutting down a whole city if one person tests positive to COVID-19. The steps taken to ease lockdown policy comes after thousands of Chinese in more than 20 cities took to the streets their frustration last month, decrying lengthy COVID-19 lockdowns, widespread testing, and other restrictions placed on people, including movements, shopping, grocery shopping, as well as walking. Storming the street with blank sheets of paper to evade prosecution, this protest that brings a change with easing up lockdown policy in China was triggered by a deadly apartment fire in Xinjiang's regional capital, where victims of the building were unable to escape the fire and firefighters had difficulties entering the building due to COVID lockdown policy. Nonetheless, since the protest, police officers have been patrolling major streets in the country to ward off any more demonstration, and the Chinese government have announced positive changes to their COVID-19 protocols and restrictions. Away from COVID-19 lockdown, we move to Arkansas, a southern U.S. state bordering the Mississippi River, where congratulations are in order for 18-year-old Jalen Smith, elected as mayor in the city of El. Winning with 218 votes against 139 early this week, the newly elected youngest black mayor in present U.S. history is a student at Arkansas State University
who suffers from learning disability and still lives with his parents. The young politician, however, says these things together with wanting change for the next generation while creating history are his motivation to move forward, paving the way for youths with dreams, desires, just like him. Moving on, and still staying in light of paving the way for youths and uprightness, the Republic of Indonesia bans sex outside marriage for citizens, tourists, and any other person living in the country. The country's parliament early this week approved a new criminal code that bans anyone in the country from having extramarital sex, people living together without being married, and sex amongst unmarried people. Though several young groups have protested against this legislation, the ban is set to take effect in 3 years, with a 1-year sentence for people caught in fornication or adultery and 6-month sentence for those living together who are not legally married.
Let's now talk sports. 4 football clubs, PWD Bamenda, Rangers FC, Funchal Street FC, and Yosa FC in the Elite 1 and 2 League Football Championships in the Northwest will benefit from Fungot's Man of the Match award to celebrate soccer in the region. This is an initiative sponsored by Edwin Nuvaga, Director of Customs, with the objective to encourage talent and bring visibility to actors who excel in the Northwest football. Charles Kebwa returns with this report.
The 4 clubs in Elite 1 and 2 League Football Championship to benefit from Fungot Man of the Match to celebrate soccer in the Northwest region, an initiative sponsored by a promoter of football, Edwin Novenga, to encourage talent, bring visibility to actors that excel in Northwest football at micro level.
That has been delivered to enhance and promote football at the macro level in the Northwest region. It is a concept that is meant to give visibility to the game of soccer in the Northwest. It is a concept that has been conceived and delivered to be able to identify and reward talent.
The 4 clubs, PWD Bamenda, Yosa FC, Rangers FC, and Funchal Street FC, to be rewarded hence in recognizing the best player, best match official, and best supporter of home games.
Where at the end of each home-based match, a jury of restrict or select journalists will identify the best player, maybe the best supporters club, fan club, or maybe the best match official, and reward on the spot after the match.
The gesture, appreciated by the Secretary General of Frekafoot Northwest on behalf of the President, said is a laudable initiative to support football in the region. Well coined, appealed, other elites in the region follow suit.
Elite of our region come up to encourage these children play football. We are very, very happy. We started this at the regional league, Benin that post last time, where we awarded the man of the match for every game. And for Mr. Nuvaga to have picked up this to take it to the elite level, I think it's a welcome initiative.
It should be noted, the initiative sponsored by a football promoter, an elite of the region, one-time footballer Edwin Fungot, is to encourage local talent and enhance the growth of football in the Northwest region.
In more sports news, as the 2023 African Nations Championship has been scheduled to run from January 13, the groups for all 18 participating nations have been made known. Cameroon will have to battle with Congo and Niger. Thus, the intermediate Lions are expected to begin training from December 10th, as we hear in this report with sports lady Magdala Eyongbisa.